Hi, everyone. Thank you for your interest in my article, Race and Systemic Crises in International Politics, an Agenda for Pluralistic Scholarship. This is a contribution to the 50th anniversary issue of the Review of International Studies, and I'm particularly excited about it because its purpose is to think about international politics over the next 50 years, as well as to highlight the importance of race, racism, and racial inequality to those politics. And throughout the paper, I discuss how IR scholars should respond to these conditions, as well as propose a research agenda for them to do so. The paper begins with a discussion of the 21st century and international politics in that century. And I describe the 21st century as a unique period of interdependent crises, highlighting climate change, global pandemics, financial instability, and other conditions. Now, while previous periods of international history may have contained some of these crises, what's unique about the 21st century is that now all of these challenges reinforce each other, and they are also global, necessitating a different response as well as a different discipline than in previous eras. But I think the most important aspect of the paper is the discussion of race and racism. Specifically, I argue that race and racism lie at the center of these crises, particularly through the interdependent relationship between structural racial inequalities and racial attitudes amongst people, particularly those in the global north. For instance, structural global racial inequalities put the global south in a precarious position vis-a-vis these global crises, which reinforces stereotypes and racist attitudes among citizens of the global north. And what this does is make it less likely for global cooperation and solidarity to develop, both of which are necessary to solve these global crises. I then moved to my call to action, which simply points all scholars towards reckoning with these conditions, as well as emphasizing the need for the empirical study of systemic crises, particularly the role of race and racism in those crises. And I envision two audiences for this call to action. To mainstream IR scholars, I argue, like many have come before me over the last decade or two, that they need to center the importance of race to contemporary international politics. Most provocatively, though, I point to IR scholars of race and argue that while these scholars have done great work broadening the discipline of international relations, as well as pointing to how race, racism, and imperialism have shaped international history, the discipline of international relations, and contemporary theory, I say that these scholars also need to go beyond this disciplinary history and critique and focus more empirically on the role of race and racism in the systemic crises of contemporary international politics. To do so, I propose a pluralistic agenda that has three branches: an empirical, theoretical, and methodological branch. The empirical agenda calls on scholars to go back to considering the three levels of analysis in international politics. Now, while most scholars implicitly consider these three levels, I focus on how scholars can directly integrate the domestic, international, state, and individual levels and consider how they interact to make, for example, cooperation to address climate change particularly unlikely, at least where I'm sitting in 2023. The theoretical agenda describes how a focus on white supremacy can enrich IR scholarship. In making this call, I follow Errol Henderson's recent work and describe the structure and constitution of global white supremacy. And this relates directly to the empirical focus on the three levels of analysis. And I conclude with a methodological agenda that emphasizes a synthesis between positivist and post-positivist scholars, particularly those who do qualitative and quantitative work. And I describe a potential path forward for these scholars to collaborate to further enrich our understanding of contemporary international politics, despite the, we'll say, potential objections from those well versed in the great debates of the last 30 years or so. And ultimately, that's the purpose of this article, to describe the nature of contemporary and future international politics, but also to emphasize that in order to combat these challenges, both scholastically and politically, it's going to require collaboration between all cultures and types of international relations scholars. So thank you very much for your interest and your attention. Please don't hesitate to get in touch if you want to chat more, if you have any questions, concerns, or any ideas for future collaborations. You can reach me either at the email on this screen or at my personal website. Thank you very much and have a great day.